All right, welcome to the explainer. Every project manager gets that sinking feeling when a delay hits. But what if your project plan had this secret flexibility already built right in? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a really powerful concept that gives you control over your timeline even when things start to go sideways. It's called Slack.
I mean, let's be real. Projects almost never go exactly according to plan, right? Unexpected stuff just happens. It's a given. So what's the secret? How do the really good project managers build in a buffer for all that unexpected chaos without just adding a bunch of extra time and blowing out the deadline?
Well, the answer isn't some kind of magic trick or just wishful thinking. It's actually a measurable thing called Slack, or sometimes you'll hear it called float. Just think of it as your project's built-in, totally strategic wiggle room. And look, this is important. Slack is not just some random padding you tack onto a task just in case. No. It's a precisely calculated buffer that shows you exactly how much flexibility you really have. It's the key that unlocks the answer to which deadlines are absolutely set in stone and which ones have a little bit of breathing room. Okay, but to really get a handle on this, we need to dig a little deeper. And there's a super important distinction to make because not all Slack is created equal. There are actually two very different types, and you've got to know both. So, first up, we've got something called total float. Think of this as the big picture number. It tells you the absolute maximum amount of time a single task can be delayed before it starts pushing back the finish line for the entire project. The calculation is pretty straightforward too. It's just the late start date minus the early start date. And then there's free float. Now, this one is all about immediate, local flexibility. It's how long you can delay one task without messing up the start of the very next task in the sequence. I love this way of thinking about it. It's basically not causing a headache for the next person in line.
So really getting the difference between these two, that's what separates the good project managers from the great ones. One has a huge project-wide impact, and the other one is totally local. You can really see the core difference when you put them side by side. Total float, that's all about protecting the project's final deadline. The more of it you use up, the closer you get to delaying the whole thing. But free float, it's more like a courtesy. You can use up every last bit of it, and the next team in line won't even notice. They can still start right on time.
All right, theory is one thing, but this stuff really clicks when you see it in action. So let's make it real. We're going to take a look at a standard project network diagram.
So what you're seeing here is a project network for what looks like an automated warehouse system. Every box is a different task. Now, before we jump into the analysis, take a look at how these boxes are set up. You'll see these little acronyms inside. ES for early start, EF for early finish, LS for late start, and LF for late finish. The gap between those start and finish dates, well, that's exactly where we find our Slack.
Okay, so when a project manager looks at a chart like this, the very first thing they're hunting for is something called the critical path. This is the one sequence of tasks that has absolutely zero room for error. It's the path where the slack is literally zero. And you can see it highlighted right here, the path that goes A, C, E, H. Now look really closely at the numbers in those specific boxes. For every single one of them, the total slack, that's TS, is zero. And the free slack, FS, is also zero. What that means is a single one-day delay on any of those tasks will delay the entire project by one day. This is where a manager absolutely has to focus their attention. All right, now for some contrasts, let's go hunting for some of that wiggle room. Check out activity F, which is develop patent request. Now look at its slack values. The total slack and the free slack are both 35 days. That's 35 times days. I mean, you could literally forget to do this task for over a month, and it still wouldn't delay the project's final deadline or hold up any other task. Now that is what I call a massive strategic buffer. Okay, so you found your critical path, you know which tasks have zero wiggle room, and you found your buffers. So what? How does knowing all this transform from just a bunch of numbers on a chart into like a project management superpower? Well, this is exactly why it matters so much. Remember that 35-day float we saw on activity F? That's your safety net. That's the buffer you can use to absorb problems you didn't see coming. It also means, hey, if you suddenly need a key person or a piece of equipment for one of those critical path tasks, you can pull them off activity F without causing a total meltdown. It just helps you focus on what's truly critical and make much smarter decisions when you're under pressure. And really, that's the big takeaway.
Slack isn't just empty space or wasted time in a schedule. It's a strategic asset. And when you understand it and you learn how to manage it, that's what transforms your project plan from this rigid, fragile document into a flexible, resilient tool that can actually handle the chaos of the real world.
So that really just leaves us with one final thought. Being able to see and identify your project's hidden flexibility, that's a huge first step. But the real art, the real skill of project management, comes down to deciding how you're going to use that flexibility to guarantee your project succeeds.